Don't let a bra get in the way. The female-focused first aid dispelling taboos about giving women life-saving treatment. Now, many of us have done a first aid course at work, and maybe you've had to take urgent action to help somebody having a heart attack. Different types of life-saving are quite clear, but for some it's less straightforward. And one of the main problems is the number of people who don't give women the care they need. One charity claims fewer women are resuscitated during cardiac arrest because bystanders are worried about when is the right time to remove their clothing. But now training is on offer to tackle the stigma using a mannequin with a female figure. Here's Martha Dixon.
Rescue ready. Paramedics with Devon Air Ambulance are on call 24/7. The biggest reason they're flown in is cardiac arrest. But they can only help if patients have been kept alive first. And new data shows sometimes people hold back when it comes to resuscitating women.
So I think people are worried about CPR in general, and even more so when it's a woman. So to see a cardiac arrest in the first place when you're out and about doing your shopping in Tesco, it's very surprising. You know, you're not expecting it to happen. And so they're already on the back foot. And what we know is that with women, when they have had a cardiac arrest, so when they've collapsed in front of people, they're less likely to receive CPR for fear of exposing the woman in the first place, or exposing the breast to the public.
Here's what's hoped will be a new solution to this problem.
So this is the previous mannequin that's been used, and you're now introducing one that has boobs.
We have. We think that having boobs shouldn't preclude you from having a defibrillator used. It's been really useful to have
The new mannequins will be used in free teaching workshops throughout Devon. It's all about reducing stigma and making it normal to do CPR on females.
And what this mannequin does is it provokes conversation at every session.
And removing bras and underwear is another problem the team wants to help people get used to, so they can easily use Defib pads.
They're really easy to use. You don't need to be trained. You open them, turn them on, and they'll talk you through everything you need to do. Follow the instructions and just follow the pictures that are on the pads and pop them on where it says.
Summer bedding.
Yeah, the roses have been...
Gillian Kirkman is only here today because her husband Ian didn't think twice about doing CPR on her. The couple enjoy life here in a beautiful spot on the edge of Dartmoor.
We were watching the television and I was alerted to the fact that Gillian had stopped breathing and looked a very strange colour, and immediately I decided that we might need to do some CPR. So I got her onto the floor, proceeded to do CPR in the old-fashioned way as per Bee Gees' Staying Alive.
So tell me, without this intervention by your husband, what do you think would have happened?
I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have seen my daughter graduate, get married, have our grandson. The list just goes on and it gets bigger every year.
Gillian says resuscitation is a vital skill and it's needed on women as well as men.
You know, please, if you got the chance, learn CPR. Don't be afraid to do CPR on women.
Martha Dixon, BBC Spotlight, Bovey Tracy.
Well, Jenny Legg is founder of the Bra Off Defib On charity. Thank you for joining us. We can hear from the stories there are plenty of personal reasons why this is so important. What started your journey with this?
It's exactly for the reasons that were shown in the video. Women are significantly less likely to receive CPR than men are. And there is a big fear around touching females because of the consent element to it, the stigma attached to it, people being filmed while CPR is going on. And yeah, unfortunately, we are losing more women than we are men unnecessarily because of it. And I'm not one to just sort of sit around and let that happen. And so myself and a very good friend of mine decided that actually we were going to start talking about it. And we realised that not many people were talking about it. So we had to speak louder and louder and louder, and in the end we created a charity to get the message out there as far and as wide as we possibly could.
I mean, you can see, and you mentioned it there, you can see why people are reluctant at times. People film everything, don't they? Everything is on camera. So I suppose there are fear of reprisals if you're removing an item of clothing and revealing somebody in public.
Yeah, and that when we speak to, particularly to males, when we speak to people about it, what is their hesitation? What stops them from doing CPR is fear of getting it wrong and the fear of being kind of ostracised or branded as someone who is just sort of touching a female sort of in a more sexual manner, which is so not the case at all. No one has ever been successfully sued in doing that. You might get some people kind of commenting on it, but you can't be sued, and we really want just people to do it.
OK, so there is a real fear of getting it wrong, and this really sparked a discussion actually in the newsroom earlier. Is it always necessary to remove it, and does the underwire play a part here?
Oh, excellent. That is one of our biggest mythbusters that we have to address, is that the underwire doesn't actually impact at all in the shock of the defibrillator. So when you have an underwire, there is material in the way, so that will stop that shock from being taken away from where it needs to go. The real reason why the breasts need to be exposed when using a defibrillator is because of where the pads have to go. So we have to have one in the top right-hand side where your collarbone is, just below it. And your second one, which is the one that everybody gets wrong, unfortunately, it needs to go into your armpit. So if you can see what I'm doing here, that second pad actually goes exactly where my bra is sitting. And so if we put that pad too low down, then the shock then bypasses part of the heart. And that bit of the heart that it bypasses might be the bit that we really need that shock to go to. So we have to make a heart sandwich, essentially.
And Jenny, does the old-fashioned compressions come into play here? You don't always need to take a bra off to do that.
When you're doing CPR on somebody, you do not need to expose the chest at that point. CPR can happen over clothing. We'd say take off jackets because they're thicker, coats and things like that, but jumpers and T-shirts are fine to do CPR over. You only need to expose the chest when you are ready to put those defibrillator pads on and not beforehand.
And as you say, as a charity, doing something is better than nothing. But Jenny, for now, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for having me.